Hey y'all, what's going on? Let me go live. Let me go live in my Instagram. There we go. There we go. What's going on, Instagram? Okay, what's up, everybody? I know I just did a live, but I told y'all that was brief. But I did let y'all know that I was going to do a reaction video on this topic here. So keep in mind, just a reminder, y'all, I am not on the streaming device that you are watching me under. So if you're watching me on Facebook, YouTube, I'm not. I'm on StreamYard. So if you want your name to populate when you leave a comment, join StreamYard. If not, you still comment and I'll still see it and I'll still respond to you. Okay. It just won't show your name. So if you know me, don't be like, how come you didn't shout me out? Like, yo, you didn't join StreamYard. I don't know who I'm talking to. But anyway, one time for the moderator. We have a moderator now. They come and go. I don't stress them out. You know what I'm saying? It's a free service. I appreciate it. So the reason why I'm doing this particular reaction video is because I'm going to share this video with y'all because I recently started yet another company, right? But when I went to call my banker who set me up, my bank accounts up for my other businesses, he gave me a lot of knowledge and information that was concerning that I wasn't aware of. And I think what it would be a disservice for me not to share changes in the financial economy with y'all. So a lot of you guys, I love y'all to death. I love that y'all follow me and everything. I forgot to do my intro. I'll do it in a second. But you don't seem to listen unless someone else is saying it, right? So I figure that if I do a reaction video and then interject and explain how this relates to credit, how this relates to you directly, hopefully you guys will listen more. I need you guys to listen more because from what my banker in PNC said, his name is Joe Hogan. One time for Joe out in Maryland. It's just really extreme, especially for entrepreneurs. It's very urgent. There's a lot of changes. Biden administrative, Obama administration, they fucked up a lot of stuff, yo, and it's hurting us. So I just want to start showing more and more videos. So I'm telling you guys, credit repair is going to be obsolete. You guys, I don't know if you're believing that or not. I'll start showing more and more videos with that too. But I just need you guys to take it seriously. I'm going to play the video now. But again, you guys are proving me right because my reaction videos actually get more views than second to my bankruptcy videos, and then it's my reaction videos, and then it's my when I talk about divorce and preparing your credit for divorce. So y'all, I need you guys to listen, okay? Just because it's me talking and I don't do a reaction video doesn't mean the shit ain't gonna go down. It's gonna go down, people. But let me just put this up here because I know you guys are tired of seeing my face. But let me do my formal introduction. I'm sorry, real quick. Let me do this. Hi, everybody. This is Tamiya Robles. I'm a credit repair expert. I am the host of my podcast, Coast to Coast Credit. I am a credit. I own Fix My Credit Now, 850.com. Check the link in the description for a free 30-minute consultation. All right, let's get to it. And like always, I'm going to play this, but I'm also going to pause it and comment and say my little piece. You guys comment as well. Just so you know. All right, I'm going to play it. Boom.
Nearly $33 trillion. That's what the U.S. national debt was as of early September 2023. At the end of July 2023, when the debt was about $300 billion less, roughly $7 trillion of that was intragovernmental debt holdings, meaning the government owes itself that money. The majority of the debt, about $25.7 trillion, was held by the public.
The thing that we refer to as the national debt is really nothing more than an accounting record. It's keeping track of how many dollars the government has added to the broader economy, minus how many dollars it has subtracted away from us, mostly through taxation.
Is there a reason you should want debt to be zero, precisely zero? No, there's no reason for that. Debt.
I actually agree with him with that. On a personal level, I've spoken to you guys about that. I talked about it. Check out my past podcast where I'm telling you do not have to pay down your debt 100%. A lot of you guys are spending money, with all due respect, that you don't have, trying to get your debt down to zero. America doesn't do it. Why should you be doing it? But, as a whole, we don't do it. But I'm going to let them talk. I'm going to let them say it.
That has many useful purposes. It's very useful for emergencies.
The national debt increased by nearly 90% since the beginning of the pandemic. But many economists and politicians warn that the ever-expanding national debt can be harmful to the economy.
And unfortunately, we're using it for rainy days and sunny days right now.
We have to think about the interest rate on what we pay for our borrowing. We have to think about the growth rate in our economy. If the growth rate is faster than the interest rate, then that makes that debt more sustainable.
The U.S. economy certainly has the resources to pay down the debt over time.
I'm sorry. I feel the American economy can stop paying Ukraine and we can pay our own debt. Let's start off with that. I'm just saying.
At least to stop the increase in debt, but we need political action for that to happen.
So why can't the U.S. get a handle on its national debt? And does it even have to? The majority of the U.S. debt is held by the public in the form of government securities, such as treasury bonds, notes, and bills.
When the government borrows money, it does that by issuing a bond, which is a piece of paper that either says, I owe you this much money in the future, or I'm going to pay you interest at these particular time horizons and then pay you back the full amount at some other time in the future.
Government is giving us the ability to trade in some of the dollars that it has supplied for a different kind of US dollar called a government security.
The US dollar represents the reserve currency for the world. So lots of people want to own our treasuries.
Treasury debt is considered an extraordinarily safe, secure asset. And somebody who's looking for a safe, secure asset would naturally be attracted to buy US government bonds.
Bonds. Tell me about it. You talk about it. Leave a comment. Are you guys educated on bonds? Do you need me to educate you on bonds? I actually don't know much about bonds except that my parents always had bonds and they got bonds for me and my family members did. They gave them to me as gifts. I don't know past that. So we could definitely check it out. But yeah, bonds. If you want to know, let me know.
So public debt has always been used for emergencies. It's easier to finance by borrowing than to burden the current generation with taxes. We saw debt rise dramatically in the late 2000s after the global financial crisis, and we saw debt rise again during COVID. The debt, in some ways, is a contingency plan that we use to smooth out otherwise what would be big shocks to our economy.
The problem is that we keep borrowing and borrowing and borrowing day in and day out. So we're not borrowing for emergencies. We're not borrowing for only for long-term investments. We're borrowing for immediate consumption. And any borrower, whether that's a person or a business or a government, if you borrow for immediate consumption with no long-term benefit, you're actually deteriorating your financial or fiscal future.
I agree with him, mostly because of the type of clients that I'm getting now more than ever that have credit card debt and what they're paying with their credit card debt, and how a lot of people do not have the money to pay the debt down. I had a woman recently just signed up with me a couple of days ago, and she used all of her credit card debt to just pay bills, knowing she did not have the money to pay it back. So I definitely agree with him so far.
Over the long run.
What's really critical here is what they call debt to GDP ratio. That is your debt to the size of your economy. We're almost at 100% debt to GDP. Looking at an economy the size of the US, usually a stability number is around 70%. So why is looking at that ratio important? Because it really shows whether you can service that debt.
Servicing the debt means paying back the debt and the interest on the amount to the lender.
The reason interest rates matter is because the government has to pay interest on its past debt. And as interest rates rise, those net interest payments start increasing dramatically.
The Federal Reserve has been increasing interest rates since March 2022 with the goal of slowing down economic activity.
Honestly, so if they're saying the end of 2022, that's when we got out of the pandemic, I do believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. I am really getting the impression that as the consumer, as an American consumer, those of us that survived the pandemic, we're being penalized. We're being penalized for the pandemic even happening. It seems like a lot of these businesses were not prepared for the pandemic to occur. Yes, it probably happens once in a lifetime, but like the kids say, life be life and sometimes. And if you're a real business, especially a Fortune 500 company or whatever, you're a billion-dollar corporation, they should have been better prepared. The bank should have been better prepared, had some sort of insurance, some just in case type of insurance. And it seems like they didn't. A lot of businesses had to get shut down. So did banks. And we're paying the price for it. And we still are. Every single day, I'm learning something new about how the consumer, American consumer, is being hurt by this because the corporations have to recover, and they're doing it through the fees and the interest rates, and it's really disgusting.
When you raise interest rates, you have to pay more to service the debt. You can't do the national programs we need to do without incurring even more debt.
The federal government paid $475 billion in interest on the national debt in 2022. That's nearly 2% of GDP.
The Fed is pushing up interest rates, and this is feeding hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars in additional income.
How much money did we give Ukraine? If they're saying this is a problem, how much money did we give Ukraine? Please tell me. Somebody give me I will Google it. How much money have we given Ukraine so far?
To bondholders. So people who are holding government bonds, paying higher rates of interest, are getting a huge windfall.
Debt helps your economy because you can take on large initiatives like infrastructure. You can take on crises like the pandemic. But you have to watch where your debt to GDP ratio is, because that really is the stability indicator of whether you can actually service this debt or whether.
Okay, real fast. I Googled it. I'm going to share my tab with you and then we'll be back here, right? So, look, it says here, hopefully, y'all can see it. Let me make sure y'all can see it. All right, great. Y'all can see it. The fuck? I just Googled it. The Joe Biden administration and the US Congress have directed about 75 billion in assistance to Ukraine, which includes humanitarian, financial, and military support, including the Kyle Institute for the World Economy, a German research institute. Okay. I had to share that because they're sitting here talking about our debt. I mean, help the American consumer, and that money can go back to the United States as it should, right? So we're not raising interest rates and getting penalized. We got the money, right? All right, then I digress.
There are good uses of debt. There are bad uses of debt. The public debt is one thing we're going to pass to the next generation. So is the quality of the environment. So is the infrastructure and roads and broadband and et cetera. So we need to balance both, the costs and benefits that we send to future generations.
We're the wealthiest nation on earth, and we're basically taking resources that we don't have today and borrowing from the future.
I think the biggest point of confusion or piece of misinformation about this thing we call the national debt is that it is somehow a burden to the rest of us, right? You'll hear people talk about the national debt burdening future generations. It ends up scaring people because you're thinking that the federal government's budget works like a household budget, and that if the government is borrowing and taking on debt, that somehow it's going to find itself in a situation somewhere down the road where it can no longer afford to pay the bills. And that's just simply not true. The government's budget doesn't work anything like a household.
Our cars have always had great range and great dynamics. Then to integrate all the functionality that you have in a typical
budget.
The US isn't the only country with debt. There are 15 other countries with higher debt to GDP ratios than the US, with Japan having the largest in the world. Economist Stephanie Kelton says Japan's economic situation illustrates why debt isn't as harmful.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I could care less about another country's debt. I'm gonna just be honest with you. So I'm gonna zip on by. They're talking about the global economy. I mean, I'm gonna just zip by this part. If you guys want to hear it, go check it out. It's called "Why the U.S. Won't Pay Down Its Debt," CNBC. But I don't care. I care about America right now. So yeah.
We don't know how much faster the Japanese economy would have grown had they not been saddled with so much public debt.
The U.S. national debt tends to make headlines alongside words like default and debt ceiling.
A default is anytime the government does not make a payment that it promised to make.
We're one of two countries, I think, on the planet that has this sort of a debt ceiling in place. The other is Denmark, and they set it so high that it never really becomes an issue for them. Here, the debt ceiling limit is a self-imposed constraint. It's something that Congress put in place. Congress has given two sets of instructions to the executive branch. Congress is saying, spend this money that we have authorized, these programs in this budget, but don't issue any more of this specific type of security in order to facilitate that payment. So it kind of leaves the executive branch in a position where it's got to find a way to continue to spend because it's authorized under the law to spend, but not spend in the way that it normally would.
I wish we could get rid of the entire debt ceiling issue. It's totally unnecessary in the first place.
I wish we could stop giving money out to other countries while we are in over 24 trillion in debt. That's what I wish for.
Because the government can't spend money unless Congress authorizes it anyway.
Mhm.
The fight over the debt ceiling can have serious consequences for the U.S. and the global economy. Fitch, one of the bond rating services, lowered the U.S. credit rating in early August 2023 from the top category to a slightly lower one.
It was a combination of three things. One is the rising debt to GDP ratio in the current forecast. The second is the lack of an explicit plan to deal with that. And third is the kind of terrible governance that Congress demonstrated in the debt limit buildup that occurred a few months ago, with many congressional Republicans threatening default if their demands were not met.
As of December 2022, about $7.4 trillion of U.S. debt is held by foreign governments or investors, which makes up 30% of publicly held debt. If countries holding U.S. debt start to believe it's not a safe investment, it may lead to a run on the bank, so to speak.
Why would we care about the stock of debt held by foreigners? The reason is that when we think about how a debt crisis could emerge, it's much like a banking crisis. One day we wake up and we no longer believe an entity is solvent. And so we run, right? We run for the exits. That sort of behavioral response is very similar, just playing out at an international level when we have debt crises, that foreigners run for the exits where they're seeing there's no agreement in the US over fiscal policy, and the debt to GDP ratio keeps ratcheting up and interest rates are slowly getting higher, making it harder for the US to pay off that existing debt. So those kinds of signals could, lead some to begin to sell US treasuries.
Ultimately, the U.S. national debt isn't getting paid off anytime soon.
People are at the abstract level in favor of cutting the deficit. The problem is at the implementation level, they oppose spending cuts that would affect them, and they favor tax increases that would affect them. The debt trajectory is worrisome. Not a crisis, but worrisome. But there's a significant minority that says that we face so many other issues that we can afford some more debt.
Wow. Very interesting. Very interesting. What do y'all think about that? What are your thoughts? Let me know. Leave a comment. To me personally, I already said my little piece. Again, excuse my my voice, y'all. But yeah, what do y'all think? I'm not feeling it. America's always putting out other people's fires and it's just getting played out. It's not a crisis, but it's worrisome For who? It's not a crisis for whom? Because I get clients literally every day, y'all. And you guys tell me your stories, even though I tell you don't need to, and it sounds like a crisis to me. If our people are filing for bankruptcy, it sounds like a crisis to me. To who? Are they talking about the 1%ers again? I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to wrap that up. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Again, I'm going to continuously do reaction videos. Yeah. Let me know what y'all think. What are y'all going through? They're not talking about, in my opinion, I'm not hearing enough of the news and these financial institutions doing videos and commentary and all that shit about personalized issues, about bankruptcies, about the solution. This is the problem. What is the solution? Like, I'm not hearing enough of those things. So I care about that. I already know what to do with a high interest rate. I already know how to pay my cards down. I know how to pay debt down, even when I'm broke. What are they going to do about it? Why don't you stop giving money away and put it back into your own people? I don't know. Maybe it's not that simple. Maybe it's not that simple. But yeah, just stay tuned for more reaction videos. I know this is late. I'm late at night, but I wanted to at least put that out there. Like I said, my banker, I wish I could put him on and interview him because he broke things down so easily for me to understand, you guys to understand. But he said, unfortunately, PNC will not allow him or anybody to talk about this publicly or on podcasts and things like that. So my job is just to report the information, talk about it, and let me know what you guys think. Again, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'm gonna let y'all go. Schedule a free consultation with me for 30 minutes. When you're ready to get your credit repaired, get it fixed before you can't get it fixed, y'all. In the meantime, I wish you guys the best of luck on your credit journey. You guys have a good one.